And good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and I appreciate you joining me here on my Morning Musings. Okay, we are continuing our survey, our overview, um, a recapitulation in briefer form of our study of the Olivet Discourse. We're focused at the present time on Matthew chapter 24, verse 30 specifically, because there's still a great number of people out there, dispensationalists mostly, premillennialists mostly, who take the language, they shall see the Son of Man in the heavens, and they shall see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, literally. And they're expecting, to use my terminology, they're expecting Jesus as a 5'5" Jewish man to come out of heaven. Now, let me say this once again. Please go back and watch last week's videos from Monday through Wednesday, in which I discussed the significance, the importance, the implications of what Jesus was saying in that in the events of the fall of Jerusalem, they would see the Son of Man, the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens. And that the force of the Greek text there, which is admitted by virtually all Greek scholars, the force of the Greek text there is that in the events of the fall of Jerusalem, in those physical, this worldly events, they would recognize that Jesus was enthroned in the heavens as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, acting in sovereign function in judgment as the Father had judged. Jesus said, henceforth the Father judges no one. He has committed all judgment to the Son, so that henceforth men should honor the Son as they honor the Father. Gads, do you catch the power of that? And it was the Son of Man who was going to come in the glory of the Father. So in the physical events, in this worldly events of the fall of Jerusalem, the astute, the wise, would recognize this is Jesus as King of Kings, Lord of Lords, as the Alpha and the Omega, as the beginning and the end, the one who was, who is, and who is to come. Pardon me. It was Jesus enthroned in the heavens that was bringing about this judgment, just as the Father in the Old Testament had used one nation to judge another nation. And in doing so, he was manifested to be God. Just in the book of Ezekiel alone, something like 82 times, as God predicted events that were going to come, judgment upon the nations, this nation, that nation, whatever. And he said, I'm going to do this that they may know that I am God. And it's absolutely fascinating. In Isaiah chapter 26, in verses 10 and following, the prophet said, O Lord, when your judgments are in the world, the righteous will learn judgment. When your judgments are in the world. Well, he's talking about judging the enemies of Israel. By riding on the clouds, by coming in power and great glory. When your judgments are in the world, the righteous learn wisdom. They learn judgment. They learn knowledge. But let the wicked see, and he will not see. He will not understand, but he will see. And John Galvin, commenting on this passage, says what the prophet is saying here is, the righteous, having heard the prophecies of the coming judgment, of the day of the Lord, that's what it's all about. The resurrection. Yeah, Isaiah 26 is about the resurrection. Israel being raised out of captivity. So anyway, Lord, when your judgments are in the world, the righteous learn because they knew the word, they knew the prophecies. They could look and see the visible events and know, that's Yahweh at work. The wicked, on the other hand, would see the identical events of the day of the Lord. The identical events of the resurrection. And they would basically go, I don't get it. You remember the old commercials with the blondes? I don't get it. Sorry, ladies. So John Calvin said, what we have here is the prophet saying that in the days of the day of the Lord, the wicked would not grasp, they would not fathom, they would not comprehend what's going on until it's too late. An astute observation. Okay? But here's the point. If the day of the Lord was an earth-burning, time-ending event, how could the worst atheist in all the world not get it until it's too late? I mean, after all, if the sky splits, the sun is destroyed, the moon's destroyed, stars start falling from the sky, don't you think that even the most hardened atheist in the world would look up and go, oops, uh-oh. Yeah, they get it. But you see, Isaiah said, the wicked won't understand. The wise will see the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens. They will recognize, yes, this is Jesus operating in judgment. So when Jesus said, they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, what we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, and I covered this extensively, okay? What we have to understand, once again, this language of sun being darkened, moon being turned to blood, etc., typical Old Testament language. Just so, the language of Jesus riding on the clouds of heaven. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this is an assertion of his deity. I had someone just recently try to imply, very subtly, very dishonestly, that I don't believe in the deity of Jesus. That's an overt slander. It's an outright lie. Anybody watching my videos knows that's not the truth. Because you see, passages like Deuteronomy chapter 33, in which Moses is blessing the children of Israel. And he is speaking of one of those tribes being the servant of Yahweh who rides on the clouds. In Psalms chapter 68, I love this, so I won't try to quote it. I'll just read it to you. In Psalm 68, verses 3 and 4. Well, let me start with verse 3. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away, the enemies of the Lord. So let the wicked perish at the presence, prosopon, again in the Septuagint. But let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before God. Yes, let them rejoice exceedingly. Sing to God. Sing praises to his name. Extol him who rides on the clouds. His name is Yah. Rejoice before him. And that's not all. In Psalms chapter 68, later in the chapter, again, extolling the righteousness of God, the holiness of God, the identity of God in defeating his enemies, etc., etc. the psalmist says, to the one who rides on the heaven of heavens, which were of old. Indeed, he sends out his voice, a mighty voice. Oh, this is the Lord coming with a shout, with a great sound of a voice. Ascribe strength to God. His excellence is over Israel, and his strength is in the clouds. O God, you are more awesome than your holy places. The God of Israel is he who gives strength and power to his people. And then over in Psalms 104, I love this passage as well. In Psalms 104, we have a passage that speaks of the Lord's riding on the clouds. And it says, this is Psalms 104, by the way, verse 3, he lays the beams of his upper chambers in the waters. He makes the clouds his chariots. He walks on the wings of the wind. He makes his angels spirits and his ministers a flame of fire. That's quoted, by the way, in Hebrews chapter 1. So what's the point? Who is it that rides on the clouds of heaven? It's God. The angels are his ministers. The angels do not ride the clouds. They come with him as he rides the clouds. The cloud rider is God. Is there any wonder then that when Jesus stood before the Sanhedrin in Matthew chapter 26, verse 64, and Caiaphas yelled out, tell us plainly, are you the Messiah? Are you the Son of God? And Jesus said, well, you've plainly said so. And hereafter, you will see the Son of Man. Remember yesterday? Son of Man. And folks, when Jesus said these words in front of the Sanhedrin, he wasn't going to say, or he was not saying, you're going to see me ascending on the clouds to go before the Father. No. You will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now, if Jesus had just simply been affirming that maybe he's going to be an angel, that would be one thing. If he would have been saying, I'm going to be a judge, that would have been another thing, because Psalms 82 says men as judges are, quote, gods, Elohim. That's not what Jesus was affirming. He was affirming in the most unequivocal, clear cut, at least to those who understood the prophecies, for those who understood the language of the prophets, they were going to see him enthroned and exercising his sovereign authority in judgment of even the Sanhedrin. The representatives of Jerusalem. That's why Caiaphas tore his garments, said, what further need we for any other testimony? This man is guilty of blasphemy. They knew Jesus was claiming to be God. He wasn't claiming to be the Father. He was claiming to being what Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 says, who being in the form of God, that's Jesus, did not think that equality a thing to be grasped, to be held on to. That statement, you will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, was an unequivocal affirmation of his deity and a declaration of the manner of his coming. It's not a prediction of Jesus coming at the end of time as a 5'5" Jewish man riding a cumulus cloud. It was a prediction of Jesus acting in sovereign authority by using the Romans in this case to judge Israel. and manifesting that he is, in fact, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. The significance of this language, ladies and gentlemen, cannot be ignored, cannot be depreciated, cannot be denied. It is incredible, okay? And it demonstrates that at his coming, his erchomai, his parousia, his epiphany, his apocalypse, Jesus was not to be manifested and revealed once again in a human body. He was to be manifested as God. I'm out of time. Thanks for joining me. I hope to be able to be back with you on Friday to continue our examination of Steve Gregg's book. Lord willing, my voice continues to improve. I'll see you then.